this is Ashley Victoria Robinson from the Popverse, coming to you live from San Diego Comic-Con, where I am joined by the legendary, the only creator I was so excited to meet, I screamed in his face when I did, Mr. Mark Russell. Welcome.
Thank you. It's quite an introduction, but I'll try to live up to it.
It's a true thing that you bore with a lot of grace, I have to say. So you just arrived in San Diego Comic-Con today, officially. How has it been for you so far?
Well, actually, I got in last night for the Eisner Award ceremony, but it's been great. Brief, but wonderful, and it's weird how often those two things go together.
Brief and wonderful? I have a ton of questions about Superman Space Age because you are joined by an all-star team of the Allreds, Mike and Laura. When you're working with artists of such an incredible caliber, what do your scripts look like?
Mostly, I try to get out of their way as much as possible. I try to figure out where I can cut down lines to leave as much room for the artwork as possible. Also, where I can create as many splash pages as possible in the scripting, and also not try to crowd a page with panels. Just sort of give Mike and Laura a chance to let their creativity be as important to the book as what I want to say is.
Where did the idea for the story come from?
It came out of the old sort of 5G thing that DC was running around. I was asked to come up with an idea, and my idea was going to be one of the 2G things, not to bore people with the sausage making. But it was really a story I wanted to do about Superman as a symbol of hope in a time where there is very little hope.
Kind of like today, one would say.
One might say.
Now, Superman is a character that a lot of people want to put in a box. He's the big blue Boy Scout. Maybe people would say he's boring. They're wrong. You are known for taking characters outside of the box. So was there something about Superman in particular that you wanted to take on?
Well, I think the fact that he has a moral compass and tries to be his best self at times places him squarely outside the box at this point in time. And that's really what I thought, it's this is a character who doesn't need to be gritty, who doesn't need to have darkness, because this is what makes him edgy. The fact that he has all the power, he could do whatever he wanted, he could be as corrupt as the rest of us, but he chooses not to, and that's his real superpower.
And does that stand out in a stronger way against the 60s counterculture, kind of when the story is set?
I see him almost as part of the counterculture because I think he's standing against a lot of the sort of ingrown sort of assumptions of American culture and about who should be on top and who should be at the bottom of the pyramid. And he comes as a newcomer saying, basically with the perspective of this is ridiculous and unjust. And, I wanted it to be a story, especially the book in the 60s, about how much he is the total of his influences, both from his parents, his earthly parents, Jonathan, Martha Kent, who teach him sort of, wisdom and thinking through things before you do them, and also Lois Lane, who's I think his biggest single influence, who teaches him courage.
So you mentioned Monpa Kent and Lois Lane. Any other Superman family characters who might be showing up?
Yeah, Jor-El, who tells him about his past and who he is and where he came from, which I think gives him an enormous sense of strength and mission. So yeah, and there's a lot. It's a huge ensemble cast of characters. It's not, my dinner with Superman, for 4 hours. It's there's the Justice League, Wonder Woman and Flash and Green Lantern and Lex Luthor and Brainiac. It's a whole ensemble cast, but it's really about the world according to Superman.
Ooh, another great alternate title, The World According to Superman. We talked a little bit about Superman's influences. What were some of your influences on this book?
Well, I wanted to really be about as pure about my own sort of meditations on what the world needs right now as possible. But you're never really your own influence. You're living in an illusory fool's paradise if you think you came out a priori and you have no influences. So I think a lot of what I drew upon are my favorite non-comics authors. I feel like there's maybe some Vonnegut in there and some Cormac McCarthy. Maybe some Ursula K. Le Guin in there. But I wanted to really just be as sincere and straightforward as possible and make that voice Superman's voice. Just sort of like Superman is somebody who's ultimately the voice of sincerity and honesty about what the world needs from him.
So when we think of the 60s and the space race in particular, there's a lot of very iconic characters that come out of that. Are we going to see people like Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, Von Braun show up in the book?
Not those characters, but you do see like Lyndon Johnson, Leonid Brezhnev, a lot of the Cold War, in the later books. I don't want to give away too much, but you do see like references to like Watergate and other sort of historical characters and epochs in the 70s and 80s too.
So for anybody out there who is watching, who wants to create their own comic books, maybe they want to tell Superman stories, what is your best advice for telling the most authentic stories?
Say what it is you have to say as passionately and as briefly as possible, and find out how that works into a Superman book.
And then lastly, because here in the Popverse, we like to celebrate the best in TV, movies, and comics, what are you geeking out about right now that you're not working on?
I just, my favorite comic this last year was probably Tom King's Supergirl, which I just blew my mind. And also I'm going through like the Humanoids catalog, like reading Metabaron and rereading the Inkall, which was brilliant the first time I read it and is brilliant upon rereading. So those are the things I think really they're getting my attention right now.
So for anybody who wants to follow you online, or if they want to pick up Superman Space Age when the time comes, where can people find you?
Well, the time is Tuesday, and book one comes out on Tuesday, and you can follow me on Twitter, which is where I practically live these days, and I'm at Manruss, Manruss.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Mark.
Thank you, Ashley.